We start with the round 2 fixture. We've got rounds 2 to 5 on the table. Didn't it get more real today as you started sifting through this? And a made-for-television product, Caro. We're seeing some innovation Thursday nights in the grid every week. Sundays at 6 we'll get to in a moment. And hand-picking some big games within reason.
Well, we're going to talk about which clubs have done very well out of this, which clubs haven't done so well. There's mutterings, as there always are, about the fixture, but no club has got the temerity to really complain, given what the AFL's managed to achieve.
How could there be so many private complaints about the fixture in the middle of a pandemic? It's unbelievable.
You know, I mean, and I know the reason why, but I mourn another sad farewell to, you know, one of my first loves, the thing I grew up with, Saturday afternoon football.
I thought you meant the fixture. That's your great love. If you put Richmond on one side of the table and the fixture on the other, you'd grab the fixture.
Saturday afternoon football, I hope will only be dead for a very short time, but the quality of games is clearly not what we all look forward to when we turn on our radios at midday on Saturday or Saturday late morning. Sunday night games the AFL are going to test out. It'll be interesting. We know what a disaster it was when they tried it a few years ago, but it could well work this year. Look, Geelong obviously have done incredibly well out of this fixture. So we kick off some of the people, the clubs.
Perceived winners and losers of the fixture and why, as we take a look. And the Cats, obviously, well, Hawthorn have to go there. Brisbane stay at home, of course. Caro and the others are interesting.
Well, Essendon have got really 4 fabulous Channel 7 free-to-air games, great for their sponsors. St Kilda, conversely, have no free-to-air games and are a bit disappointed about that. Carlton have got 4 Saturday games in a row. They don't have to travel, so they're pretty happy. Melbourne, amazingly, have got 3 free-to-air games, Matthew, so they will be under the microscope, as you say.
Unbelievable you don't have Richmond in the winners, Caro. 3 Thursday night games on Channel 7. They only travel once. 2 of them at the MCG, 1 at Marvel.
He makes a fair point there.
And West Coast on a Thursday night in Gold Coast.
Don't give me that shit.
They're a big winner also.
They've got to go and play West Coast on a 5-day break. I don't think. I mean, I don't make the charts that we do, but I would say that Richmond are not complaining about the fixture, but a 5-day break before West Coast, when West Coast don't have to travel, I think that's Oh, look, everyone, of course, all the people who are still banging on about it.
I'm with you, Caro. The Tigers make their own luck, so I'm with you. They don't need any luck from anyone else.
They're not complaining, but I wouldn't say they've done really well
just on Brisbane, I know they had a horror performance in round 1, belted by the Hawks, but they'll get some jaded teams. So 4 weeks in a row at the Gabba against Freo, West Coast, Adelaide and Port Adelaide. Unbelievable result for them. And with Geelong, some teams will get 9 home games one day and some will get 8 because it's a 17-game fixture. Yep. So that 9th game they could possibly get at Geelong. That's the difference between top 2, top 4. And if we don't have crowds, who's to say they don't get a top 2, top 4 final at Geelong yet again? So it's massive for them.
And the advantage, if there is one, of playing in Geelong is huge because of the dimensions of the ground. We'll get to that in a moment.
But one quick one. Why would they not ask for a few games at the MCG, given that they've struggled in finals in the past?
If we can, in just 1 second, let's hear from the President, Colin Carter, first, who was absolutely expecting the outcome he got.
For some years now, there's been a view from the AFL that if the crowds are going to be enormous, then they should be at the MCG. Well, in this situation, there are no crowds. And if you ask me to think of a reason why we shouldn't play our home games down there, I'd be struggling to think of it.
Lord, I would put it to you that home ground advantage is applicable almost always because of the crowd and the distance of travel. In Geelong's case, there's one other dimension the other 17 teams don't have, and that is the shape of the ground. And you look at the wins, 33 of the last 37. This catapulted them back into top 8, top 4 contention tonight when the first 4 rounds at least came out. How big an advantage in a crowdless season is knowledge of the way the shape of a ground plays a role in the game?
It's a good point you make, Hutch. I think it's the biggest of any. And if I was Alistair Clarkson, I'd be taking my players down there at least twice between now and round 2, Cornsey. Why wouldn't you? Because there's more out on the Fulls than any other ground at Geelong because teams just don't know how to play it.
Seems to be that one side of the ground where you always kick out. There's always some win there. But also, I also see Essendon's and Western Bulldogs, their home ground advantage at Marvel, also significant as well. So if I was those 2 clubs, I would have requested the games there. But yeah, it's a huge advantage. But on your point, Caro, I'd rather not leave there and make the grand final the last game of the MCG.
There are people watching this who play other sports, international sports, who would laugh that we are saying it is a disadvantage to have to travel an hour down the highway. I mean, that is just ridiculous, surely.
It's the dimensions of the ground. They train there, they're so used to playing it, it's the game style.
Craig mentioned travel.
It's a 1%er.
They get no advantage really from playing a home game commercially now because they would be able to put their signage up at the MCG or Marvel.
They do. They've got greater signage scope at
Well-
Geelong than they do at the MC. In fact, the signage is going to be a big issue for everyone, I think.
Well, it is. And in fact, the main thing clubs are bitching about today, to be brutal, is they still don't have figures from the AFL. It is going to cost them more literally to play games than it would be if they didn't play a game this year. Of course they want to play. That's a problem. And one more on Brisbane, Matthew. Not only do they get 4 games in a row in Brisbane, but they don't have to travel to Perth or Adelaide for the rest of the year. So the future, their destiny is in their hands.
I think Thursdays is here forever, by the way. I don't think we'll go back to non-Thursday footy. I can't see in a new broadcast world where that wouldn't be a lock. And the Sunday 6 o'clock, now you made the point that it hasn't been a great success in the past. It has been judged in the past predominantly on crowds and, you know, kids going to bed early and all those things that we empathise and understand with. 6 o'clock built for tally, magnificent on a Sunday night. I don't know, but how do you feel, Kane?
So, Hutchie, what's the balance commercially versus television versus crowds? Because it's a shocking time slot to go and watch the football. Like, I wouldn't want to take my family on a Sunday night, but I'd love to watch it on TV.
Well,
What's that balance?
I mean, historically, 70 cents in the dollar is broadcast money. This year it's going to be greater than 70%, clearly, because there's no crowds. And so you had to build it for broadcast. Into the future, if it works, I can't imagine a U-turn on a 6 o'clock Sunday game either. And the no overlap.
The Collingwood-Carlton game in winter was the killer, wasn't it? I think they got the worst crowd between those two clubs since 1925. The bloke who sits on that seat on a Wednesday night was absolutely filthy, and it was just a poor decision at the time.
That's why I think the West Australian teams at 6 p.m, I know that some in the West won't like that, but a 4 o'clock Sunday in the West is very much palatable in the scheme of the future world of footy. And we will get some great things come out of this period, won't we? We're going to trial some things, we're going to see what works and what doesn't.